The month of February is here, which means we are closer and closer to March. Welcome in to Inside the 12. I'm your host, Kyle Yeomans, taking you through the most talented basketball conference in the country. And we're going to start by taking a look at the schedule ahead for the Big 12. Some big-time teams on display. 6 teams ranked inside the top 25, including 3 inside the top 10. Arizona, Iowa State, and Houston. Iowa State playing host to Baylor, 2 o'clock Eastern time, coming up Saturday on ESPN. And then Oklahoma State taking on number 1 Arizona. The Cowboys just knocked off BYU in a ranked win, 99-92 on Wednesday. We'll talk more on that later in the show. But to talk more about the game of the week that is on Saturday, that number 8 Houston at BYU, who is reeling at the moment. It's a Saturday tip-off, 10:30 Eastern time on ESPN. And we welcome in Matt McCall, longtime Division I head coach and current basketball analyst for NBC Sports, to break it down. Welcome in, Matt. Appreciate you joining us.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. I mean, what a league, what a run this league is having this year. What great games that we've had. So can't wait to break it down and talk to you guys and get into it.
No doubt about it. And these are 2 teams going in different directions right now. Let's start with the Cougars. This is the number 8 team in the country. Just 2 losses, and they were both by 4 points or less. Are they getting enough credit for what Kelvin Sampson and company are doing down in H-Town?
Do we ever give him enough credit? Like, is there any, like, do we ever give him enough credit? I mean, listen, this is the recipe, in my opinion, to win a ton of basketball games in today's day and age in college basketball. You have to have retention, you have to add a couple pieces in the portal, and then you have to have really talented freshmen. And that's what this group has. They have the retention and the really talented freshmen. I mean, Kingston Flemings, what he's been able to do has been absolutely remarkable. There's so many great freshmen across the country, but the core group of these guys coming back that were 1 possession away, that were a loose ball away from winning a national championship last year, there's a chip on their shoulder. I think dropping a couple games, I think going through some adversity is good for your program, but this team, if they cut the nets down in Indianapolis, none of us would be surprised. And no, we don't give Coach Sampson enough credit for everything that he's doing. I keep saying it in terms of the landscape of college basketball. I think we need to put him in charge. And he's in charge of everything. He's in charge of all the rules. He's in charge of a G League player can come back and play in college. He's in charge of an NBA player can come back and play, just because he has that presence about him. And what a team. And they've been a lot of fun to watch. But again, I'll go back to that adversity piece. Losing a couple games, it's only going to make you better. It's only going to improve your team. And I think that's what this group is looking like right now.
Yeah, those losses early in the season against Tennessee, where they lost by 3 in a 76-73 contest. And then they lost to Texas Tech, of course, at Texas Tech out in Lubbock. Now, when you look on the other side for this BYU squad, number 16 team in the country, they've all of a sudden lost 3 straight games, including a loss to Oklahoma State, where they might be one of the more talented teams in the landscape of college basketball. But where are their downfalls at the moment, and why are they hitting this stretch?
Yeah, I think you just have to go to the defensive end of the floor, because I think they have one of the best 3-headed monsters in all of college basketball. When you think of DeBonta, when you think of Richie Saunders, when you think of Robert Wright III, and what those guys are doing out there. They had a game, 3 or 4 weeks ago that we had in studio for NBC, and they combined for 57 points and 17 assists. So it's, that group and that core are so good, but where are they defensively right now? That is what Coach Young has to figure out, just in terms of this team, is how can they improve on that end of the floor, because they're giving up so many points. These last 3 games, everyone wants to talk about this 3-game losing streak. It's been because of their defense. It's because you're giving up over 90 points per game. If you're scoring in the high 80s, but you're giving up in the high 80s, it's tough to win. And that's where the issues with this team fall. What are they going to do defensively? How can they improve? How can they get better? Because in terms of offense, especially with those 3 guys, they can beat anybody in the country.
Is this one of those games that matches up well for BYU, since they are taking on a Houston team that likes to slow possessions down, try and trim the clock a little bit more? Is this an opportunity for BYU to take a step forward and take a step in the right direction?
Well, obviously it's at home, so I think that helps. When you get this team on your home floor. I don't know if you ever want to say this is a good opportunity when you play against a Coach Kelvin Sampson team, but it's definitely an opportunity. An opportunity is defined as a set of circumstances that make it possible to do something, and they need this. They need to get out of this funk. If they can, show, because I've been singing their praises with those three guys and how unselfish they are. When you have a superstar like DeBonsa that is still so unselfish, that makes you so dangerous as a team, and that's what he is. So to get this game on your home floor Saturday night, 8:30 at night, the crowd will be unbelievable. Almost one of those litmus tests. Okay, if they can win this, then now they show the country that not only are they a second weekend team, they're a team that could get to the Final Four.
And they're going to earn that credit that we continue to try and push down toward H-Town and the Houston Cougars. What they're doing on Saturday will tell a lot about what that team is and what BYU is as well. When we come back, there have already been some great games in the Big 12 this week. How about the Rock Chalk Clutch Hawks striking in Lubbock? What's next for Kansas and Texas Tech after a big Monday showdown? It's time for game-breaking plays brought to you by Hell of a Good Dips. Game on, dip in with Hell of a Good. Starting with the Houston Cougars, Milos Uzan, as he's done so many times before, breaking ankles. Houston beats Cincy big time as he takes a defender on a trip into the paint and pulls up from the mid-range. Speaking of Houston taking down Cincinnati, sorry Bearcats, Kendall Hunter with the three at the buzzer to win it. She drills it 72-70 to final score as Houston holds on at home. Oklahoma State needed to hold on late against BYU, and it took everything from Jalen Curry, including some acrobatic moves in the paint. His reverse lay-in in traffic falls as the Cowboys shocked BYU 99-92, the final. The Baylor Bears, alongside Cameron Carr's double-double, had 11 points from Tunde Yesufu, who added 11 of those points and this breakaway dunk to snap Baylor's four-game skid, 63-53 the final over West Virginia. Our Hell of a Good Dip game-breaking plays as we welcome back Matt McCall to talk through one of the biggest games in the Big 12 this year as number 11 Kansas takes down number 13 Texas Tech, 64-61 the final from Lubbock. And this was a game from the jump. No Christian Anderson for Texas Tech. He was out with an illness. And then even JT Toppin, one of the National Player of the Year candidates, gets in early foul trouble. Texas Tech did lead for the majority of this ball game after a back-and-forth first half. They were able to put together an advantage going into the second half. And Matt, once they got to the point of clutch shots, Kansas hit all of those as Darren Peterson hits those back-to-back clutch threes to take the lead.
Yeah, first of all, it's great to see him out there, and it's great to see him out there consistently, and it's been in and out of the lineup. And sometimes when you're dealing with that, especially as a coach, and Bill Self does it as good as anybody in the entire country, you have to adjust. How are we playing offensively? How about the other players on the floor? I mean, we saw that UCF game earlier this season where in the first half he was out there for the majority of the game, and everyone was kind of standing around watching him and mesmerizing in what he was doing out on the floor. And Peterson in the second half, he doesn't play, and Melvin Council Jr. takes over the game. Now they've figured it out. They've figured out how to play together, which makes them extremely dangerous. They go from a team that is a fringe Sweet 16 team to now a team that compete for the national championship, now that all those guys are playing and playing together and playing the right way and knowing how to play together. I think that's the biggest key. So really impressive. No Christian Anderson obviously hurts his Texas Tech team. I still think they're terrific. JT Toppin could not get in foul trouble. There's nothing worse for Coach McCaslin without one of your superstars, and I think this team has one of the best duos in college basketball. We talk about BYU having one of the best three guys in college basketball. Texas Tech has one of the best duos, but you lose one of those guys, and it's really hard to win. But this says more about Kansas, and this says more about, are they a legit national championship contender? And yes, they are, because those guys, those five starters, have now figured out how to play together. Biggest key going forward, entire country knows this, have to stay healthy.
And that's really the key for Texas Tech as well. But what else can they improve upon to prove that Texas Tech is one of the better teams still in the country?
Well, obviously, I think, continuing to get guys coming off the bench that can help them, can give them a lift if they get into foul trouble, if they're battling different things. I think for Texas Tech, going through adversity is not a bad thing. I think it's only going to make them better. Losing some games, dropping some games, playing games without Christian Anderson, I think that'll help them moving forward. They're in the best league in the country. We know that right now. We see multiple teams that we feel like can get to the Final Four, whether it's a Kansas, an Iowa State, an Arizona. This is the best league in the country. So you drop a couple, doesn't hurt you. You got to hit reset, got to get back in the practice gym, get back to work, and move forward. It's the dog days. We're in February right now, and this is the grind of college basketball.
Of course, Texas Tech taking on West Virginia on Sunday, 1 Eastern on Fox, as they look to keep themselves inside the top 15 overall. But as for Kansas, you talk about how much Bill Self has built this team to be successful going into March. Is this the masterclass from Bill Self we've been waiting to see up in Lawrence?
I mean, Coach Self has said it repeatedly. He's coached a lot of great players throughout his career. There's been none as talented as the guy that he has right now. And he's admitted that. He's talked about it. He said it. His longtime assistant, a close friend of mine, Norm Roberts, has said it as well. And now that he's fully healthy and they're learning how to play together, this bodes well if you're a Jayhawk fan. Because the struggles early on in the season, is he in? Is he out? How are we doing? Everybody got better and improved from that. And blocking out the noise and continuing to push forward, I mean, what a job he's done. And it's fun to watch. And this team, watch out. If they cut down the nets in Indianapolis, none of us would be surprised.
Kansas winning 6 straight, including 3 ranked wins, Iowa State, BYU, and now Texas Tech. They'll take on Utah Saturday at 2:30 Eastern on Fox. When we come back, Rachel Galligan joins the show. Is there a new favorite on the women's side of the Big 12? A little bit of reaction after some big upsets shake up the top half of the standings. Welcome back into Inside the 12. Joining us now to break down some of the biggest storylines in Big 12 women's basketball is our Hoops insider, Rachel Galligan. And Rachel, some incredible upsets in the Big 12 over the last couple of days, especially when you look at Texas Tech getting back on track, taking down number 12 TCU on Sunday. 62-60 was the final score. It's time to go inside the game, presented by New Era. How did the Lady Raiders take care of business and get it done against the Horned Frogs?
Well, this was really one of Texas Tech's toughest defensive performances, and really both of these teams are so good on the defensive end of the floor, and Texas Tech needed this win. To me, it was kind of a staple win in the course of the season, and it really started on the defensive end of the floor and their ability to rebound. As we take a look at how the Lady Raiders got it done, this was one of the best rebounding performances I have seen out of Texas Tech. They out-rebounded TCU 46-34, holding them to just 7 second chance points and earning 10 themselves on 15 boards. Extra possessions make all the difference in big games like these. Jada Malone was fantastic, pulling down 9 boards herself. Bailey Maupin finished with 8. Starts on the defensive end of the floor, but you have to finish plays on the glass, and that's really what the Lady Raiders were able to do in this game. And then honestly, the other portion was TCU struggled to find an answer for Snetta Collins, who finished with 28 points and was named Big 12 Player of the Week. She was dominant in this game, and I've said it all season long. Collins is a matchup problem for opponents with her ability to score it at all 3 levels, and when she's hitting perimeter shots, she's really tough to stop with her ability to attack the paint. She went 3 of 6 from the 3-point line, and she played within herself. She did a phenomenal job of reading and countering TCU's defense.
Yeah, Texas Tech had lost 3 of their last 4 going into that matchup. Now they still sit just 1 game out of the Big 12 lead in conference play. Moving on to another top 20 matchup. How about West Virginia taking down number 14 Baylor 70-60, the final score, snapping Baylor's 8-game win streak. What were some of your takeaways from the Mountaineers side of things as they take down the Lady Bears?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really balanced offensive at night for West Virginia. They finished with 4 players in double figures, and that's really impressive against a tough Baylor defense. Wheeler was fantastic with 18 points and 15 rebounds. Jordan Harrison added 18 points. West Virginia dominated the glass 45-32. They dominated the paint 36-8, and they forced Baylor into 30 turnovers and had 38 points off of those turnovers. That snapped Baylor's 8-game win streak at the time. And then the Mountaineers followed up with another win against Colorado on Wednesday. So an impressive streak right now for the Mountaineers.
And then moving on, how about Kansas dominating BYU Wednesday night? 81-60 was the final score. And the Jayhawks, you take the record out of the equation. I know they're just 14-10, but they're in a lot of these close games. They lost by 2 to TCU, took Colorado to overtime, lost to Iowa State by just 3 points. Is this finally the win that gets the Jayhawks rolling in the right direction?
I guess we'll find out. I mean, Jalea Davis continues to be one of the most dominant freshmen in the country, earning her first career double-double on Wednesday with 28 points and 12 rebounds. She's now won 5 consecutive Big 12 Freshman of the Week honors, one shy of tying the Big 12 record. It was a convincing win, as you said, that, I really think this Kansas team needed, especially against a BYU team that I'm really high on. Samaya Nichols added 17 points, and they out-rebounded BYU 49-31. And here's an interesting stat to kind of go off what you were saying. 8 of their 10 losses, 8 of 10 of Kansas's losses have come within single digits. 5 of them were within 3 points or less. And so my question is this really the win that gets this team going in February?
And maybe it is, maybe it's not. It's tough to find a way to win consistently in this tough of a slate throughout the league. Kansas doing a nice job of at least putting themselves in successful scenarios to try and keep that rolling in the right direction. Of course, this week brings another bevy of great Big 12 women's hoops matchups. Let's talk about some of the top games on your radar moving into the weekend.
Saturday is going to be a big day. We've got Iowa State at Utah. Iowa State, honestly, they're one of the hotter teams in the conference right now, riding a 4-game win streak, starting to figure some things out despite battling some of the injuries mid-season. I'm excited to see them really be battle-tested against a very good Utah team. I think Utah is capable of beating anybody in the conference any given night. I guess you could say that about the whole league, but I am really high on Utah. And then you have Arizona State at Baylor on Saturday. This is an FS1 game, 2 very good defensive teams. Molly Miller has done a fantastic job in year 1 with the Sun Devils, as we all know. This is a big one for both of these teams, who sit about 3 games apart right now in the standings. Baylor trying to stay at the top of the standings, and for ASU to continue to build out their tournament resume.
Arizona State won 2 of their last 3. Baylor still tied for the best record in Big 12 conference play, looking to get back on track after that loss to West Virginia. Of course, tickets are on sale now for the 2026 Big 12 women's basketball tournament, taking place March 4th through the 8th at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. Rachel, thank you so much for taking some time. As always, we'll catch up with you again down the line.
I appreciate you guys. Enjoy the action this week.
No doubt about it. And of course, speaking of tournament time, the tournament will be here before you know it, because Matt McCall is back. We're going to take a look at the Big 12 teams that have improved their resume and some that have work left to do when the big dance comes calling in March. Inside the 12 is brought to you by Hell of a Good Dip. Game on, dip in with Hell of a Good. Of course, it is now February, as we mentioned earlier. Matt McCall back on the Inside the 12, and this is an opportunity for you to tell us about what these teams in the Big 12 have the opportunity to do to make the Field of 68. You're part of the Field of 68 Media Network, so nobody better to do so. Let's start with some of these teams that are projected to be in the field already, some right on the bubble to get into contention. Who are some of the teams that are locks, in your opinion, throughout the Big 12?
Well, obviously Arizona, because they refuse to lose, as John Calipari claimed that motto back when he was the head coach at the University of Massachusetts. Arizona just refuses to lose. But Houston as well, absolute lock. Iowa State, absolute lock. Kansas, absolute lock. Texas Tech, BYU, and UCF. How about the Knights and Johnny Dawkins? What he's been able to do with that program. We saw them knock off Kansas early on in conference play, but this UCF team, they are a lock. They are a lock for the NCAA tournament. I know they haven't played great in their last game. Doesn't matter. This team is for real and a force to be reckoned with in terms of once we do get to March. Now we get some other teams. Oklahoma State beating BYU. What a win for them. when you think about it and where they are, TCU, West Virginia, I think they're a little bit of a long shot right now, but we saw the dominance last year in terms of the SEC and how many teams that they got in. Now you got to flip to the Big 12, and they are going to get more teams in this year's field than any other conference in the country. I truly believe that. And you think of national championship contenders. Who has a legit shot to cut the nets down? You have to say Arizona. You have to say Houston because they've been there before. And this Kansas team, the way that they're playing right now. And how can we count out Iowa State? Going into Big 12 play, they were top 5 in the country in offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. They've struggled at times on offense. We saw Cincinnati first half against Baylor. They only scored 24 points. But Talon Lipsey, Milan Momcilovic, they're playing better right now. To put them in the same category in terms of national championship contenders with Arizona, with Kansas, and with Houston, I don't know if they're right there, but they're darn sure close.
Real quickly here, Matt, before we wrap up, some bubble teams to keep an eye on. How about Oklahoma State, West Virginia, TCU? Who out of that group do you feel like has what it takes to step up and make the field of 68?
Well, I think Coach Lutz and what he's doing at Oklahoma State is really, really impressive. I mean, that showed it last night. I loved his press conference afterwards, giving, A.J. DeMonsa praise just in terms of his character. Have great respect for him. They're the team to be able to win that game the way that they did. Although West Virginia, you see the spacing, the speed at which they play with at times, how hard they guard, that North Texas Grant McCasland mentality that they play with. He now has his own coaching tree. Yeah, I don't think you get that. And then Jamie Dixon, he's been there before. He's won 1 million games. He's been to the NCAA tournament, won games in the NCAA tournament. But for me, out of that group, I really like Coach Lutz's group at Oklahoma State.
Hey, and don't forget about Ross Hodge and West Virginia. They only have Texas Tech and BYU as ranked matchups through the rest of conference play, so a couple of opportunities to improve the resume. Matt, appreciate you as always and appreciate you hopping on. What is next on your busy schedule that people can tune into?
Well, next is a 10-year reunion of our Chattanooga team that went to the NCAA tournament. Me and my family are headed up to Chattanooga tomorrow. Excited about that. They're honoring that group. What a team. What a fun time that was. And then I will be back on the road next week. I've got DePaul, Creighton the following week. So we will continue to move forward. Once the Winter Olympics wrap up, we'll be back in the studio. And we'll get back to some Big 12 hoops as well.
Well, we appreciate you having on here in Inside the 12. And for Rachel Galligan for breaking down the women's side of things. I'm your host, Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you again next week.